Hey everyone, it's Ethan Ormis back again for another video today, and welcome back to the channel, guys. We're here again for yet another video. Today we're going to be finally uploading on the channel again. I know it's been a while, but yeah, I mean, here we are, ready to go for the CDL this season, which I am super excited for. This could be this could be considered probably one of the best seasons of the CDL for sure. And I'm very excited to see what this season holds. We have some really good teams and some very, very interesting stories. So, unfortunately, here on Pick'ems, we're not actually up yet, unfortunately. So, I won't be able to make my Pick'ems or my predictions on Pick'ems. But obviously, it returns in January 2023. Sorry, Jesus, with new features. So, we'll see what that looks like. But with that being said, let's actually go to the Call of Duty League and let's showcase, of course, the schedule that we've got coming up for this first weekend, which, of course, are just qualifiers, which I am very excited for. So we've got a bunch of qualifiers this weekend, and then, of course, we have qualifiers next weekend as well, and then the actual tournament, which is in Raleigh, which starts the 15th onto the 18th. Of course, there's like a ton of things going on there. So, really, really excited. And with that being said, let's now actually take a look at these, which I didn't realize are on Twitch now. Dope. I didn't know that. I just expected it to be on YouTube. Interesting. All right, well, let's talk about it. So we've got Boston versus Atlanta to start off. I mean, I would imagine this is a pretty clean Atlanta 3-1, I'll say. I do think Boston is better than they were last year, which is why I'm going to give them a map. But I have no doubt that Atlanta is still going to be one of the best teams this year, if not the best team this year. Now, this next one is very interesting. Minnesota versus Texas, which could be a very, very fun match as well. Which, yeah, I'm super intrigued to see how this one goes. So, I don't even know who I'm going to predict to win this. I think I might give it a 3-2 edge to the Rocker, but it could very well be a 3-2 win for Texas. I mean, it could be a 3-0 win for either team here, and each game could end in a 1 point differential. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what happens in that series. That'll definitely be one of the best series of the weekend, I'm sure. But yeah, I'll give the edge to the Rocker for now, but it's very possible. I mean, Texas is always stronger, or Optic, I guess I should say, is always strongest at the start of the year, so maybe I should be giving it to Optic instead. But I have really high hopes for this Rocker team, and I'm a little biased now because my two favorite players are on Minnesota. So, yeah, but yeah, I'm going to stick with Minnesota 3-2. Anyways, let's move on to Vegas versus LAT, which is an interesting match as well. I am intrigued to see how they do. This is obviously a very interesting Vegas team. They aren't the greatest team, that's for sure. They might be considered the worst team in the league. I would argue that with London, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, I don't know. I would imagine this is a pretty clean LA Thieves 3-1 probably, unless we have some similar issues to last year where LA just starts off kind of poorly and then picks it up towards the end of the year, which is very possible as well. But they have so much time together now. They have, well, over a full season together now, so I would expect them to be the better team. And absolutely on paper, they are the better team. But with that being said, we now move on to the Gorillas and the Surge, which is the final match of Friday, which is one I'm really, really excited for. I really, really like this Gorillas team, and I'm really excited to see what this Gorillas team can do, especially with the addition of Arcides. I think that is a huge addition, and I think the trio of subs really could be really, really great this year. And unfortunately, we just didn't get to see enough time with them last year, so I'm really excited to see how they do. This is a very young team, and in my opinion, a team with a really huge upside that I could see being slept on, for a lot of this season. So, I'm really excited to see what happens there with the Gorillas and Surge. So that'll be the last match for Friday. We then move on to the opener for Saturday, which is going to be an absolute banger. Probably going to be one of the best matches of the weekend. We have Minnesota versus Toronto, the Battle of the North, and the Battle of the North gets even better now with Standy now on the Ultra and Cammy and Bance now on the Rocker. So yeah, that'll be a fun match to watch, and definitely the Battle of the North is going to be one of the most interesting storylines to follow this year. Um, I don't really know who's going to win this. I think this is going to be a very close 3-2 series. I could see either team winning, to be fair, similar to the Texas and Minnesota series. I think Minnesota and Toronto are going to be two teams that are just never going down without a fight. And they're always going to be super hard to put away. Even if it's a 3-0, it's going to be very close games, very challenging. Um, I think I am going to give the edge to Toronto, though. Toronto is still my team, to be fair. But, I mean, my favorite players are on Minnesota. So eventually, if it's anything like hockey, eventually Minnesota will probably be my favorite team, where Toronto's been my favorite team for years, but my favorite player is Draisaitl, and I've just come to cheer more for Edmonton than for Toronto. So yeah, it could see something similar happening here, but I think I'm going to give a 3-2 win for Toronto. I'm intrigued to see how Standy does this year because he struggled last year, but Scrappy looks to be insane, and I'm really excited to see him play. I'm happy that he is on our team, to say the least. Oh my god, I actually didn't even give my prediction for Seattle LAG, but I'm going to give it a 3-2 Seattle win. I just realized. My bad. So yeah, 3-2 from Seattle to end off Friday, and then the Saturday game, or the first Saturday game, will be Minnesota Toronto, which I will give the edge to Toronto in a game 5. So we'll see how that goes. Then we'll move on to the first game of the year for the Subliners and the Ravens, which should be an interesting one as well. I really don't expect this series to be close at all, and I'm giving the edge to NY. I think I'm going to give them a 3-0, to be honest. I don't think this series will be very close. I'm not high on London right now, but things could change. Obviously, things could change. So then we move on to Seattle versus Boston, which had some really entertaining matches last year, and I think Seattle is great, but I think Boston might honestly be better. I think this Boston team is definitely going to be a great team this season, and I think I'm going to give it a 3-2 victory for Boston here, and that'll be putting Boston at 1-1 on the weekend. Also, I would have. Oh, never mind. Oh wait, no, yeah, no, sorry. So yeah, I'd also have Minnesota going 1-1 this weekend as well. So let's move on to Florida and Vegas. These two teams, I'm very intrigued to see how this goes. I'm also not very high on Florida. I think I'm going to give the edge to Vegas, and I think I'm going to do it in a 3-1 fashion. Of course, half of the Mutineers roster has never even actually played in the CDL, so that'll be interesting to see if that affects them and how that affects them. So, yeah, again, obviously, I think Florida is decent, but I just think Vegas is better on paper, which is why I'm going to give it the edge to Vegas for now. And then we move on to Sunday to start things off. We've got the Gorillas and Ravens, which again, I'm very high on the Gorillas, and I'm not high on the Ravens, so I'm going to give this a 3-1 for LAG, I think. Let's move on to Texas versus Florida, which will be a fun match. Of course, Florida always gave Texas problems in the past couple seasons, but Florida also does not have Skies or Awakening anymore. So I think this is a big fumble, and this will be a quick 3-0 from Texas. I don't think there's going to be many 3-0s this weekend, if any, but as of right now, I mean, I only have 2, and I think it'll only be 2, to be fair. So, yeah, sorry, Florida. But let's move on now to the LA Thieves and Atlanta Fays, which should be a really, really fun series as well. Definitely going to be one of the best series of the weekend, I'm sure. I am going to give the edge to Atlanta. Of course, technically, if you were to go over recency bias, definitely the Thieves would be in a better position to win, but I think I'm going to give it to Atlanta. I think Atlanta are going to start off hot, and they're going to beat the Thieves 3-2. And then on to the final match of the weekend, we have Toronto versus New York. And this New York team, I don't really talk about it, but this has got to be, honestly, one of the best teams in the league. But it all depends on Priest's play, in my opinion. So I'm excited to see how that works. There's a very young team, of course. So, yeah, I am going to give the edge to Toronto in a 3-2 series. So, with that being said, let me just give you a quick little recap of my predictions for the weekend. So, I have Atlanta beating Boston 3-1. I have Minnesota beating Texas 3-2. I have the LA Thieves beating Vegas 3-1. I have the Seattle Surge beating LAG 3-2, and that'll be the matches for Friday. For Saturday, we've got Toronto beating Minnesota 3-2, New York beating London 3-0, Boston beating Seattle 3-2, Vegas beating Florida 3-1, and that'll be Saturday. On to Sunday, we've got LAG beating London 3-1. We've got Texas beating Florida 3-0. We've got Atlanta beating LAT 3-2. And we've got Toronto beating New York 3-2. So, with that being said, I have Boston going 1-1 this weekend. I have Atlanta going 2-0. I have Texas going 1-1. I have Minnesota going 1-1. I have Vegas going 1-1. I have the Thieves going 1-1. I have the Gorillas going 1-1. I have the Surge going 1-1. And then I have the Ultra going 2-0, actually. Such another team I have going 2-0. I have the Subliners going 1-1. I have the Ravens going 0-2. I have the... actually, I think that's everything. Yes, I think that is everyone. So, yeah. And I have the Mutineers going 0-2. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how this weekend pans out. It'll be a very, very fun one, I'm sure. So, with that being said, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy. Let me know your predictions down below. What matches are you most excited for? Mine are definitely Minnesota and Toronto, and probably LAT and FaZe. Those are probably the most anticipated ones. But I'm excited to see what happens. So, thank you guys all so much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.